There's a second format that the equation of a line might be given to you, and we're going to try and make a sketch of it when it's in this setup, when it's a number times the x plus a number times the y equals some constant, right? Like some number that doesn't have a variable attached to it. So before we get too deep into this, I'm just going to draw the Cartesian plane for you. There's my y-axis, there's my x. And the idea we're trying to get across here is that if I draw a random line like this one, this line must cross the y-axis somewhere. And it must cross the x-axis somewhere. And if I had those two dots, then I would just be able to connect them with a ruler. And then I don't have to do any more math past that. So the question then is, how do you find these spots? And it has to do with the coordinates of the y and the x-axis. So think about this one here. If you're on the y-axis, you are at the place where x equals 0. So x is 0 here. Similarly, if you're on the x-axis, right, you haven't gone up, you haven't gone down, your y value is 0 here. Now, if that's true, we're going to be able to put x equals 0 into this equation. That will eliminate all that stuff at the front, and you will have something that says 2y equals 12. And that's not a very difficult equation to solve. Similar thing's going to happen if you put y equals 0 here. That's going to eliminate this term, leave just 4x equals 12, which isn't difficult to work out. So I'm going to erase this little example here, and I'm going to get the grid out. We're going to actually do this one in detail. Okay, so we're going to start by trying to find where this particular line crosses the y-axis. So at the y-axis, x equals 0. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it in there. 4 times 0 plus 2 times y equals 12. Well, 4 times 0 is 0, so that leaves me with 2 times y equals 12. So what number times 2 gives you 12? It's 6. If you're not sure, we're going to use algebra here. We need to undo this multiplication. So we'll do a division here, and indeed, you get 6. So when x is 0, so your x-y pairs, you always write them x then y. If your x is 0, your y is 6 for this particular line. So I'm just going to plot that on the grid. 0 for x, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for y. All right, so similar thing, we're going to do this at the x-axis. I hope my face isn't in the way. The x-axis, the y value is 0. Shift over here. So I'm going to put that into this equation. Two times 0 is 0, which leaves me with 4x equals 12. So what number times 4 gives me 12? The answer is 3. But if you're not sure about that, break a multiplication with division. And there you have it, x is 3. So when the y value is 0, x is 3. That's here. So it looks like this line went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down, and 1, 2, 3 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down, and 1, 2, 3 over. That's where your next dot in the pattern should be. Going the other way, 1, 2, 3 over, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's about here. And I can connect those with a ruler. You, of course, have one, so you'll be able to do that. You can imagine me trying to use a meter stick on this board. I'd lose both my eyes and probably an arm. So that will do for now. So that's it. If you were trying to sketch something in this form, it's not about slopes and y-intercepts. It's more about finding intercepts. And when you get into higher grades, finding intercepts is one of the key things you need to be able to do in order to sketch more complicated functions. So it's a good idea to get some practice thinking about it this way. Where is my y-intercept? Right, so that's what that's called. Intercept. That word in English means to like catch or to meet up with. So this place is where that line meets up with the y-axis. This one would be the x-intercept, because that's the place where this line catches up with the x-axis. So we're going to run another example of sketching an ax plus by equals c form, and then we're going to finish it off by writing that in the y equals mx plus b form, which is how we sketched it in the last video. So first things, we're going to need Cartesian plane. I've been doing those in pink. Great. And to sketch an ax plus b equals c form, it is easiest to use intercepts. So I'm going to find the x-intercept first. So x-intercept means the y value is 0. Right? So I'm trying to find where it crosses this line. That's an x-intercept. Where does this line intercept the x-axis? And the x-axis has a y value of 0. So that's why these two facts go together. I'm going to drop that into here. 3x minus 6 times 0 equals 24. That means 3x equals 24. That means x is 24 divided by 3, so x is 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right here. All right, y-intercept. So that's asking, where does this line intercept the y-axis? Where do they cross each other? The y-axis has an x value of 0, so I'm going to park that in here. Put it into this equation. 3 times 0 is, 3 times 0 subtract 6y is 24. That's gone. Negative 6y is 24. To finish this off, I just have to divide by negative 6. And 24 divided by negative 6 is negative 4. So that is 1, 2, 3. That's right there. All right, so it looks like this line goes 1, 2, 3, 4 up, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's connect that there. Technical difficulties here. There we go. All right. So that's how you sketch it when it's given to you in this form. Just as an interesting exercise, we're going to use some algebra to try and make this into that shape. And then we'll maybe sketch that shape on this grid so you can see that it ends up generating the same line. If I get myself some space here, I'm going to start with this. Now, I can see that this line is not in this form because there's an x over here. So how do I solve that? Well, I'm just going to move the x to that side. So I've got a positive 3x here. If I want to get rid of that on this side, I'm going to have to subtract 3x. But in an equation, you can't just do that on one side. You have to do that to both sides. Otherwise, it wouldn't be equal. So this minus this is gone, leaving only the 6y behind. This 24 was already there, and subtract 3x is now on this side. Okay? So if I look at this form, and I look at this form, I'm closer, right? I've only got y's on this side. Before I had too many letters. So I've made it better, but I'm not quite there, because in this form, there's no number in front. And this, right now, I have one. So I need to get rid of this -6. And if you look at the -6, it's attached to the y by multiplication. You break multiplying with division. So I'm going to have to divide everything in this line by -6. All right, -6 divided by -6 leaves just the y. 24 divided by 6 is 4. And a positive divided by a negative is a negative number. -3 divided by -6, well, 3 over 6 is 0.5. You can check that on your calculator. It's the same as 1/2. And a negative divided by a negative is plus. So I have this line in the y equals mx plus b form. I'm going to try and plot it on there. I'm going to use a green marker so you can see I'm doing something different. When we sketch them in this form, you started with this number, right? The y values are -4. So I'm going to find that here. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's where all the y values are -4. And this piece told you to add half that line for every step you take in x. When we had a fraction, we said don't do 1x and 1/2. 2 and 2/2 is 1. 3 and 3/2. 4 and 4/2, which is 2. Don't do these ones. Just do the clean ones because they're easier to find. So 2 steps in x, 1, 2. 1 step in y would put you here, right on that yellow line we've already drawn. Take 4 steps in x, 1, 2, 3, 4, up 2, 1, 2, again, right on that yellow line. And if I continue following this pattern of up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, I land exactly on that x-intercept that we had calculated before. And continuing it off the grid, I can fill up the whole space because that's polite. And you can see that that line there, generated from this form of the equation, lines up precisely on the line generated from this method of sketching the equation, which means that they are equivalent expressions, right? If you put an x in here, you're going to get the same y as if you put it into here. So I think that's probably enough. On the practice problems, you'll be asked to sketch things in this form, and then you'll be asked to convert them into the y equals mx plus b version.